Greetings, Culture Drop friends. Today, have another video that is a question that came in from our survey feedback. We're doing a bunch of these and I love it. So here's the question, and Sydney's gonna read this one.
I'm in the interview process and I've already had 2 interviews. I'm really interested in the job, but I still don't know what the salary is. They've been avoiding the question, should I do a 3rd interview? Help. Help!
Woo! Talking about cash. Here's the intro, and then I will provide an answer. I love this question. This is gonna be a 2-part video. 1, I'm gonna talk about companies being shady when it comes to what is the salary for this position. And 2, I'm gonna talk about, as an employee and a human being, how do you respond to companies being shady, and how do you respond to the questions they ask you to hope that you ask for less money. So part 1, companies. It is no longer acceptable to be totally shady about what jobs pay, companies. Post the job salary in the job position and opening. Stop hoping that somebody's gonna come in and ask for $20,000 less than what you want to pay for the position or what you have budgeted. And if you truly care about employee experience, you will not be shady about people. Nobody is coming to volunteer for your company because they love you. They're there for a paycheck. And if you want exceptional employees, you have to pay good money. So internally decide, what is the amount of money that we will pay for this position? Of course, yes, you may have a range of here's the high end. Every company knows you will stretch a little bit more money if we can get somebody who's fantastic. You know all of these things, be upfront about it. Give a range, don't be shady, don't be dodgy. When somebody asks you with a question, no one should go 2 or 3 interviews in where they still have no idea and you're being dodgy about the salary. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's your company, you have a budget for the position, you know what you'll pay for it. So do not avoid the question with people. It's car salesman, it's shady as hell. Can you imagine walking into a grocery store, picking up a gallon of milk and be ask an employee, there's no prices on anything, and be hey, how much does this gallon of milk cost? And the employee's well, how much do you have? Or well, how much did you pay for your last gallon of milk? Don't be shady. It's weird as hell. Stop it. It's ridiculous. The people that are hurt most by companies being shady about and dodgy about the price and the salary of the position are women and people of color. People who historically have not had a seat at the table. Those people suffer the most because they are least likely to ask for more money, to negotiate, to assert themselves. If you truly care about diversity, you will stop being dodgy about salaries, because the people who benefit the most from that are white, confident men, and other people suffer from it. So stop doing it. And truly, if you care about people over profits, think about not what's the least possible amount of money we can possibly pay for this position and get someone to fill it. What is the most we can justify to have somebody exceptional? Let people know what it is and hire that person. People over profits. You can do a little bit less profit and pay people really, really well. Be upfront, be transparent about that. It speaks to employee experience and actually how you care about people. Part 2 is, as an employee, as somebody who is going through a job interview, and to answer the question of should you do a 3rd interview? I think you should ask for clarity. I think before you take any more of each other's times, I think to be upfront, to be hey, before I do a 3rd interview, before we move forward in the process, I do need to know what the salary is for the job. That's my advice to you, is before you spend any more time, because you get all the way through all this process and they butter you up and then come in and be it pays $15,000 a year. You don't have to be rude and weird about it because that makes you look bad, but just hey, I need some clarity around this before we move forward to make sure that we're in the right ballpark. We're talking about the same thing. So I wouldn't do a 3rd interview until I'm I need some clarification around the salary here, because that's important to me. And here's what I will also say to coach some people up, because people that are not well-versed in knowing how to navigate salary and deal with this in the interview process, is that you will screw yourself out of a lot of money and salary in your career if you don't have some skilled responses to some of these questions that companies ask in order to hope that you say a lot less money than what they have. So when somebody asks you in an interview position, before you've talked about salary, if the company says, well, what are your salary expectations? What is your range? What do you hope to make or whatever? The company should be the one that says the number first, not you. Because you might say something that is $30,000 or $25,000 or $10,000 less than what they're hoping that you would say or that you pay for it or what the budget is positioned. So the response to that question is not an answer. It is this word for word out of your mouth. When the company says, well, what are your salary expectations? Respond with these exact words out of your mouth. What have you budgeted for the position? You do not have to give them a number first. You don't have to be rude and weird about it, but every company, before they post a job, knows exactly how much they will pay for it. They know what the last person made. They know what the budget is. They've already talked about it at length. There's no mystery to them. They already have the number. So the question is how much have you budgeted for the position? Let them answer first. You don't have to get into a combative situation with them, but like, they should say the number because it makes sense. They're the ones with the job. They're the ones with the company, not like you. Well, tell us what we should pay for this job. That's weird. I'm gonna give you a resource of where I think you should go to get tips on how to negotiate salary, ask for more money, deal with this kind of stuff. This is where I've gained a lot of this for me. I mispronounce his name, but it is Ramit Sethi, R-A-M-I-T Sethi. He has a lot of really great free YouTube videos and stuff like that about like things to say, word tracks, how to respond to some of these things so that you can like do better in interviews. Thanks for watching and tuning in. Subscribe to our channel. We put a lot of content on here. You can also subscribe to the Culture Drop mailing list and get these emails in your inbox every Tuesday morning. Follow our social media channels. Put a lot of free content out about just being more awesome and building great teams.